How the information was leaked from law firm Mossack Fonseca remains a closely guarded secret. But it was first handed to the German journalists Frederik and Bastian Obermaier, who spent more than a year sifting through the more than 11 million leaked documents before finally making them public. The two joined me a short time ago from the Hotel Bayerischer Hof in Munich. Frederik Obermaier and Bastian Obermayer, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Frederik, tell me, you guys were approached by this anonymous source that called itself John Doe. How did that go, and what did you learn about this person?
It was over a year ago that this anonymous source contacted Süddeutsche Zeitung, saying, hello, my name is John Doe, and asked us if we are interested in data. The way we communicated with the source, we do not want to reveal it due to the protection of the source. But we communicated with the source on encrypted channels, on different encrypted channels.
And how did you guys, I mean, you worked on these documents for a very, very long time. There were many other journalists involved. How did you manage to keep all of that under wraps as a secret, Bastian?
Well, we didn't talk openly, obviously, and we had a lot of security measures that we had implanted. And the most important rule for everybody was to really be careful who you talk to and to, keep it for yourself. And this is really an issue if it's really interesting stuff that you would have to report on and you're not allowed to for a year. But, well, we're all a little surprised, but we made it.
How worried were both of you for your safety in all this? Because you guys were getting a lot of, quite damaging information about very powerful and potentially very dangerous people.
Well, we are more worried about the safety of our colleagues in Russia and in Africa and in the Middle East. In Germany, it's not that dangerous, but still we had those thoughts once in a while. Yes, yeah, we did.
And Frederik, you guys went to extraordinary lengths to try and make sure that you yourself weren't hacked, weren't discovered, that people wouldn't break into this room that you guys had locked yourselves into. And you even bought, I hear, glitter nail polish. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the part where my girlfriend really laughed at me when I bought that nail polish. But we bought it to put it on the back of the computers to see if somebody tried to manipulate the PC or the working stations, because for us it was really important to guarantee the safety of the data, because the data is sensitive. So for us it was very important to keep it secret. So there's been an alarming system. We had a safe where we put the data in when we have not been in the office. So for us that was not normal working procedure. But it was very important, and in the end it paid out, because in the end nobody, as far as we can say, was able to get access to the data who was not allowed to.
What I find interesting is that I've heard that this was not one dump of information. This was something that was ongoing, where you could see that this company, Mossack Fonseca, knew that someone was getting information out of it, but at the same time, you almost had a real-time view into them trying to prevent you from getting that. You had access to their emails, so you saw the way they were reacting to the fact that they knew someone was inside their system.
Well, some emails have been leaked to us lately, and we saw that they made some decisions, like they didn't allow their employees to use the mobile phones for emails and stuff like that. So they got a little alarmed over the month, but we don't know exactly the measures they did.
What do you think is the central lesson from what you guys have uncovered? Because offshore accounts in and themselves are not illegal, but clearly some of the things that have been done with them go well beyond what's legal and also what's ethical. What stood out to you the most?
I mean, it's very important to see that Panama Papers is not only about tax avoidance and tax evasion. We do see in the Panama Papers that in the offshore world, criminals do hide their wrongdoings. People evade sanctions, they break or bust sanctions. So everybody should realize that if we talk about offshore, it's not only about taxes, it's also about criminals and other shady people hiding their doings.
One of the interesting things is that Mossack Fonseca has obviously since then come out and they said, look, we're a company that sets up these offshore accounts for people. It's really not up to us what the people do there. I want all of us to listen to an interview soundbite from Ramon Fonseca, who is the co-founder of the company. Let's listen to that real quick.
We are a firm of nearly 40 years' existence. We have formed more than 250,000 anonymous corporations through our history, and we take care only of the legal part. We do not participate in the activities of the company, nor do we have any responsibility over what the company does. We sometimes don't know many times who the owner of the company is, because we will sell it to a lawyer or a bank, a financial or trust company, and this company, that customer, has its final customer. Remember that due diligence is something recent. 10 years ago, there was no due diligence. The term was not even known.
Due diligence is something recent. Why do you guys react to him saying something like that?
I mean, we heard in the last days, we heard several interviews like that when Mossack Fonseca claimed that they're not doing anything wrong. But what we see in the data, that there are dozens of examples where we do see that they realize what the end customers are doing with these companies. So they are clearly aware of it, because we see the email conversations between the compliance department and the partners speaking about end customers and their business. For example, there's one case when we see that they speak about the cousin of Bashar al-Assad, who was sanctioned in 2008 by the US. And they realized that he is using some of the companies they set up, but they kept him for a customer.
Yeah, it's interesting because that case was one that really stood out. And we're talking about Rami Makhlouf, who is sanctioned by the U.S. since 2008. And there's a quote from one of the papers that you guys have provided to us where Mossack Fonseca says, as far as I can see, there are allegations, rumors, but not any facts or pending investigations or indictments against these persons. What do you think is the significance of that document coming to light? What does it tell us?
I mean, this is only one document among dozens where we do see that they realized who is Rami Makhlouf. There we saw documents where they called him, oh, he is the cousin of Bashar al-Assad. There are documents where they realized that he is claimed or alleged to be one of the financiers of the Assyrian regime. But it seems that they didn't really care at the beginning. For years, for them it was like, yeah, we do have Rami Makhlouf as an end customer using our companies, but they kept him. So this really shows me that when they speak about due diligence, they should speak about flawed due diligence, because there was the warning, the red flags of their compliance departments, but they overruled it.
What do you think are the implications for a company like Mossack Fonseca dealing with Rami Makhlouf? Because we keep talking about how not all of this is illegal, but some of it is unethical. Where do you think dealing with someone like that lies in the realm of this?
I mean, this could be a real legal problem for Mossack Fonseca, because although the company is headquartered in Panama, they have offices in the US, so there would be a possibility for US authorities to get after Mossack Fonseca.
I mean, this is, I know you guys have done investigative work in the past, but this is a global thing that has brought one government basically down, or has led at least to a government crisis in Iceland. We've seen the British Prime Minister under pressure. We've seen the circle around Vladimir Putin react angrily. When did you notice that this was big?
When we counted like until 15, we knew this is going to be a big story. And the number of heads of state that we found in the data, or their very, very close allies or relatives, is now nearly 70.
And I hear that one of the first people to actually see it online was Edward Snowden. Is that correct?
Yes, for us that was a surreal moment, because it was before the time for publication that we set. It was at the time when we at Süddeutsche Zeitung internally tested our webpage. So because our technicians told us that they had to test it some minutes before the official publication date. And when we then saw Edward Snowden tweeting about this publication, that was a surreal moment. And for us, it was like, whoa, was it really just Edward Snowden tweeting about the project we worked in the last year on. And for us, but at the same time, for us, it was great because through Edward Snowden, there was a big audience getting known or knowledge about this project. And we even saw it on our homepage. We set up an English webpage of Süddeutsche. And in the first 24 hours, there have been more English-speaking readers than German readers. And that was the first time in the history of this newspaper.
Bastian Obermayer, Frederik Obermayer, thank you for joining the program.
Thank you very much, Fred.
And just want to bring you this as well. In response to the possibility that authorities in the U.S. or elsewhere could pursue Mossack Fonseca over the Panama Papers, Roman Fonseca, who you saw in that soundbite, told the Financial Times, and I quote, "I don't expect this to lead to one single legal case."